Hello again, Peter Tomlinson, bringing you another tutorial of jazz piano and chord voicings in particular. This time we're going to be looking at four-note rootless chords in the minor key. So if you have that handout, please refer to that. It's going to help you a lot to follow along with this whole topic. It's a great sound. The turnarounds in the minor key have a nice kind of a dark sound to them, a nice dark rich kind of sound. So I think you're going to enjoy working with these. Before I start though, really I'd like to say for my students at Western Connecticut and my students at Vassar, it's been wonderful working with you this year, this very strange season, and I hope that you'll all have a safe and successful summertime, and thank you for all the effort that you've put in, and I hope you've enjoyed this topic. And without any further ado, we'll get into minor turnarounds using four-note rootless voicings. So a lot of the rules are the same as the major turnarounds, especially in terms of the register you want to keep your chord voicings in. And as always, that's kind of a subjective situation, but turnarounds in the keys of, let's say, B flat, B, C, D flat, D, E flat, E, and F. The A voicings are going to work very well for you. Turnarounds in the keys of F through B, the B voicings are going to work really well for you also. And to get started, just so that we can have a reference as to what these chords would sound like with a bass player or with the root in the left hand, we'll play the chords with the right hand for now, play the roots with the left hand, and then we'll turn them into left hand voicings to harmonize a tune. I'm going to work with a great tune by Victor Young called Beautiful Love a little bit later. Okay, so first thing I want to say one word about seeing these chord symbols, because they're a little more involved. They have things like flat nines and flat fives. So you want to be careful to read from left to right in terms of interpreting the chords. So first thing you're going to see is the root name. It might be D, it might be D flat, or it might be D sharp. But that's the first thing that you're going to see, the root of the chord. That's going to be followed by the chord quality. It might be a major chord, or it might be a dominant chord, or it might be a minor 7 flat 5, or diminished. But you'll see the root name, then you'll see the chord type, and then you'll see any kind of alterations that is suggested by the chord name. Things like flat 5s, flat 9s, flat 13s, even sharp 11s. Okay, so don't get confused by seeing the D root name and then you see a flat somewhere in there and you think that it must be a D flat. No, the root of the chord is stated first, and any flat 5s or flat 9s, things like that, are going to be later. Sometimes if you just glance at them really quickly, you can misinterpret what the root is. So, very similar to the major turnarounds, but we're going to have some alterations. So again, we're demonstrating this in the key of C minor. So D is going to be the root of the 2 chord, right, in the second step of the scale. And the third is going to be F, all right, that's the minor third. In this case, we're going to use the flat 5, okay, or A flat. Again, the 7th, the 3rd and the 7th don't change. And in this case, we're going to add the root to the chord, and I think you'll hear that it's got a kind of a nice dark sound all to itself. Now, the chord could sound great if I added E natural on the top. And a lot of times people would do that. It's a really cool sound. If you are comping for a melody or a soloist who's using a lot of E flats in their 2-5-1 turnaround, you might want to be a little cautious. Even though that's a great sound, it might clash with the soloist or the singer. All right, so, and then one thing you probably don't want to do, because it's really a pretty strong dissonance, is add an E flat to this chord. that's a pretty intense dissonance. Without the root in there, chord sounds fine. Everything's cool, right? But no, once the bass player chimes in, we got a big problem. So I wouldn't usually add an E flat to a D minor 7 flat 5. And just for simplicity's sake right now, we're going to leave the D on the top, or the root, okay? Now, just as in our major 2/5s, to go from D minor 7 flat 5 to G7 flat 9 is very easy to do. We'll change the root up to G, and we'll lower the 7th, or the C, down to B. Okay, we're going to make some other adjustments as we get into the tune Beautiful Love. But for now, let's keep it simple. D minor 7 flat 5, 3 flat 5 7 1, G7 flat 9, 7 flat 9 3 5. Okay, you're accustomed to me already always giving the intervals from the lowest to the highest. 7 flat 9 3 5. Okay, and then the one chord can either be 3 5 6 9, and very often that would be my go-to sound. That would be the first sound that I probably would choose for that chord. But C minor with a major 7th is a beautiful sound also. And sometimes just a regular old C minor 7th would be the sound. Okay, it's very subjective, and they're all possibilities. But as you're working them out, sometimes it's good to just kind of limit yourself a little bit. So I'm probably going to use my go-to C minor 6. Let me put that all together for you really quickly. And one thing I like about that is, if I was doing it like this and playing the root with my left hand, these chords all have that D on the top. Sometimes it's real pretty if you have a common tone on the top of your chords, and then everything else is changing, but the note on the top stays the same. Okay, it's got a really, really pretty kind of a sound to it. All right, we're going to transpose that now because we're going to need to play this in a different key for Beautiful Love. So we're going to do our 2-5-1 in the key of D minor. So the chord names are going to be E minor 7 flat 5, that's the 2 chord, and we're calling it minor 7 flat 5. A7 flat 9, D minor, and I think you will notice in your lead sheet that they just say D minor. They don't really tell you what else to play there. We're going to make it a D minor 6 for now. Okay, so again, the 2 chord, minor 3rd, flat 5, 7, and the root, A7 flat 9, D minor 6. Sorry, let me do that again. Okay, I want to have the 9 on the top of that. We're going to change our A7th chord a little bit because this is going to fit with Beautiful Love. Here's E minor 7 flat 5. Here's A7. Now instead of the 5th on the top, we're going to add the flat 13th. Okay? A natural 13th would be the same as a major 6th. Flat 13 would be the same as a minor 6th. So in this case, it would be F natural. And that's going to go to our D minor. Okay? Now I'm going to try the chords with my left hand. All right, that's just putting it to work with my left hand as an accompaniment. All right, so take a look at Beautiful Love. I'm going to take the melody up the octave, which you should do often, and you're going to see why instead of the E natural for the A7th, I played the F or the flat 13, because it's in the melody. It's going to clash if I don't do that. Okay, so the first couple of bars of Beautiful Love. Very often you're going to see in lead sheets the chord symbol A7 sharp 5, which the F could be considered a sharp 5. I really prefer to think of this as the flat 13. Okay? Then it really relates to the other chords that I'm playing. So I always translate, or almost always translate, the dominant 7 with a sharp 5 into a dominant 7 with a flat 13. And usually if I'm going to alter the 13, I'm going to alter the 9th at the same time. Okay? And here's a very nice interchangeable kind of a sound. Here's my A7 with the flat 9. Here's my A7 with the sharp 9. Okay? It's got a nice bite with a half step in the middle. Okay, these are completely interchangeable. Both are going to sound great. Okay, so there's an introduction to 4-note rootless turnarounds in a minor key. Next we're going to get to the B voicings, 2-5-1 in a minor key, and I'm going to go off the tracks just a little bit and get into an upper structure triad kind of voicing, which works great in a couple of places in Beautiful Love.